Hi there. We got a lot of spy photos from filming on the Game of Thrones prequel House of the Dragon the past month, when they were filming in Cornwall. So much was coming out so fast that I'm still catching up with all of it. And in this video, I'm going to go over that we think we saw spy photos of Alicent Hightower's three boys, Aegon II, Aemond, and Daeron the Daring. First off, though, I want to go over the official promo photo they put out for Alicent herself and her father, Otto Hightower, the Hand of the King. Because they put out 3 sets of official promo videos. I already did one, essentially, on Corlys Velaryon, and the first spy photos for Rhaenyra and Daemon were of such high quality, and they were basically of the same thing that the promo photo was, that when that came out, I didn't make a video for the promo photo for Rhaenyra and Daemon because I already had one, basically, for the really good quality shots we got of them on Hollywell Beach in Cornwall. But of these 3, the one I didn't really cover at all is Alicent. And I'm going to go more in-depth in a separate video on that, but I want to cover it briefly now because I didn't get to it before. So here's the first official promo video of Olivia Cooke as Alicent Hightower in full costume, and Rhys Ifans as Otto Hightower. At first, if you saw me on Twitter, I thought that her costume was a direct copy of Anne Boleyn's Tudor style. That was wrong. And this is part of why this got so delayed, is I kept researching costuming details that some of my followers on Twitter point out, well, no, there's details and style elements from this that aren't really Tudor. It isn't exactly like what Anne Boleyn wore in pretty much every show you've seen, particularly Natalie Dormer's Tudor show, which I was using as reference. There's subtle differences where some of it is Tudor, but some of it is late medieval stuff. This is like late 1400s. There was some overlap. It's basically what people would be wearing at the end of the War of the Roses. I'm going to cover that in more detail in another thing. Otto's costume seems to be something called a houppelande, which is this type of flowing robe worn in the late Middle Ages by scholarly men, which makes sense. A big detail of Otto is that he's very scholarly, and historically he was famous for being intelligent. Even in the War of the Five Kings, they go, oh, he was famous for being such an educated man, but he wasn't a good hand to the king as he led to a civil war. And stuff like that. So that's basic costume details. Overall, just tonally, just seeing Olivia Cooke in full costume, she nails this with that throwing shade eye there that she's giving of looking down at, well, I'm the queen now, and I'm in charge, Rhaenyra isn't. And just the aristocratic look they got in full costume, she's amazing. Also interesting to note that, like Rhaenyra, she also actually has earrings. I talked about this a lot in the Rhaenyra video for the first set of photos. No one in Game of Thrones had earrings at all, which was strange. I'm not sure if this is part of a coherent style or not, that Rhaenyra's earrings are mostly jewels, whereas hers are mostly gold ingots. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to make a whole separate thing on her costume, but just start with, this is brief overview. We got our first official promo photo of Alicent and Otto. Though it's kind of a tight close-up, we can't even see like what the rest of her dress looks like in terms of what does the whole costume look like. We saw all of Rhaenyra's costume. This is just basically a headshot. Ultimately, though, my big thing is I'm mildly disappointed that we don't see them wearing the Hightower sigil on any part of their clothing, even as like on jewelry, on a ring or something. Like if you zoom in on the Corlys Velaryon photo, you can see he has the Velaryon sigil inscribed into one of his rings. Here you can't see any of that. Though I wonder, is this a case of, at what point in time is this promo photo supposed to be from? Because maybe this is when the Hightowers are, playing nice and haven't tipped their hand yet by aggressively wearing Hightower sigils to show, look, the Hightowers are taking charge. They did that a little in Game of Thrones, where Clapton said the Tyrells wear soft greens and teals at first, because they're trying to be nice, but the instant that Margaery has married Tommen and she is officially queen, they start wearing harsher greens to show they're not playing nice anymore, that they don't need to pretend. So maybe that's why we aren't seeing a bunch of prominent Hightower sigils yet, and they're saving that for when they take over, when they try to usurp Rhaenyra. So maybe they're saving that. Interesting question, though, is Otto is wearing the Hand of the King pin, right? When is this set? Because he was Hand of the King at two different points. King Viserys ruled for 3 decades. He was Hand during the first decade. Then he got into an argument with he kept pushing for marriage alliance stuff. So he got removed and replaced by Lionel Strong. Then Lionel Strong died in a suspicious fire right after Laena Velaryon's funeral, and Otto was reinstated. And we think what they were filming at this set, the Driftmark set on St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall, was Laena Velaryon's funeral, because there was a sarcophagus, there was a funeral pyre. That happens in the year 120 after Conquest, a decade before the Dance of the Dragons. Otto was not Hand of the King at that funeral. Like, weeks after that funeral, a week or two later, Lionel Strong died in a mysterious fire, so they reinstated Otto. I'm not sure, and it's very possible that sometimes they take official promo photos that actually don't correspond to any episode. You know? It's just a series of promo things showing them in full costume, but it's not directly lifted from a specific scene. So maybe this isn't some change-up that Otto is Hand of the King at the funeral. That wouldn't make sense. I think it's just they were taking promo photos, and so we might as well put him in full costume from where he is at the end of the last episode. And it doesn't specifically correspond to something we'll actually see on the screen. But that's all just set up, of just catching up on the promo photo. The big focus of this is the spy photos we got over a period of 2 weeks of what seemed to be Alicent's 3 sons. Start with the first one, the oldest one, seems to be Aegon II. Tall, silver white hair. This wouldn't be a child actor. This is probably an older teenager or something. And it's in the same spy photo that we had of what we actually identified as Graham McTavish. You remember I made that previous video about Graham McTavish because it was a really good spy photo, and because we tied it to his Instagram post saying, "I'm in Cornwall this week." A few days after, it leaked out everywhere. I put it out, other sources are putting it out because they're reading my Reddit posts. A week later, Graham McTavish publicly admitted in an interview, "Yes, I have joined the cast of House of the Dragon because we caught him with a really good spy photo." And the Instagram cross-referencing. He didn't admit to who he was playing, though, just that I am a cast member. And the theories are either maybe he's Harold Westerling or maybe he's Lionel Strong. I lean towards Lionel Strong because he's tall and he's bald, and because Harold Westerling died years before Laena's funeral. Why, like a decade before that. And they seem to be filming Laena's funeral at this Driftmark set. But we're not sure. So we're pretty sure that this guy here we're strongly speculating that this is Aegon II on account of the long Targaryen-style hair, and it's probably not a background character. But with the large wig, and everyone's wearing face masks because of COVID, we can't really identify who it is. Other than that, based on age, I think this is Aegon II. Also, very important, compared to the rest of the spy photos I'm going to show you, this one shot gave us a pretty good look at his costume. You see how most of them are wearing rain ponchos, and the way he was walking, he happened to be wearing it loose in this, and the spy photo was looking at him head on, so they got a pretty good look at what his costume looks like underneath. A lot of the other spy photos we really didn't get a good look at costumes on. But based on his age, our suspicion is that this is Aegon II. Next one here, this is one of the first ones we saw, is of a very small child with a silver white Valyrian wig. And we're wondering, is this Daeron the Daring, Alicent's youngest son, of her 3 sons? Just based on his age, this would be Daeron the Daring. That raises a lot of questions, because it runs into the issue of minor Velaryon cousins. Here's a chart I made. It drove us insane reading Fire and Blood that on every page there's yet another minor Velaryon cousin who's like a third cousin, a fourth cousin for a minor branch of the family that was just in the background and unmentioned before. Remember the new guy, as they say. So, not every silver-haired character that we saw in spy photos is necessarily important. Some of these will be background characters. I'm going to go over that more in a separate video. But particularly with child actors, because children are usually more than just background stuff, we also have spy footage that came out the past week that someone just was holding on to of what might be Bela and Rhaena, Daemon and Laena's two daughters, because they're mixed-race small children with blonde wigs. Or maybe this is Laenor and Laena in a flashback scene. That would actually make more sense. They look more visibly mixed race in the setup they're giving. We have no idea. Or they could just be minor Velaryon cousins and just background people not meant to be one of the major characters. Things like the children of the Silent Five and the really minor cousins like Larissa and stuff who just pop into the story as needed. They might just be in crowd shots, because we didn't get a good look at them. It was blurry. Other than that, it was a mixed-race child with a blonde wig. And when I'm posting spy photo stuff in this and future videos, I'm never going to post spy videos because YouTube copyright is a lot more strict about video content than they are about still shot photo leaks. So when I talk about spy videos we got, I'm just gonna, in the description box below, I'm gonna give you a direct link to the post on the House of the Dragon subreddit where someone, put up the video of this is the spy video we're all talking about. So you can go and see there's just, I can't fight the copyright police on this. They block me for it. But on top of that, the big question of, is this Daeron the Daring? The age is right, the appearance seems to match, but there were a lot of background people with silver wigs who seem to be minor Velaryon cousins at the set. You'll see that more in my next video when I just go over all the background people. But a major issue this touches on, major ongoing question we have for House of the Dragon as a whole is, will they cut out some characters? Even main Targaryen family members, not just a minor member of House Strong or something, but the core blacks and the greens of the Targaryens themselves, dragon riders. Because even I think you could functionally tell this story by cutting out Rhaenyra's third son, Joffrey Velaryon, simply because he doesn't do that much. He stays by her side the whole time. He dies in a street riot. He isn't that big of a character. I would like to put him in to give them more content, but I could go either way on that. That there's some, well, yeah, you could cut that minor cousin. It doesn't really change anything. But a big worry we have, when we're listing off things they might cut out, where they're probably not going to cut out Nettles or something, important characters like that. But a big worry we have, top of the list of people we think are in danger of being cut who are actually important characters, relatively speaking, top of the list is Daeron the Daring. This is one of our big questions of, will they cut Daeron the Daring or not? Because he actually carries the entire subplot in The Reach. That the entire theater of the war in The Reach, as the Hightower army fights its way up from Old Town to King's Landing. It takes them a full year because the north half of the Reach sided with Rhaenyra. So there's this whole military campaign as they have the Battle of the Honeywine, then they take Bitterbridge, and he's using Tessarion as, people in Game of Thrones stopped using scouts in later seasons. It's interesting that they explained the practical use of having a dragon in warfare, that Tessarion's a young dragon. They don't want to use it too much in fighting. It could get hurt, but this is a medieval world, and they have an air unit for once, that he just scouts ahead on the dragon from the air to see when the blacks, Rhaenyra's side, are laying traps so they can go around them. That the scouting uses of even a small dragon are a game changer. And it's interesting. So our fear is, if they cut Daeron the Daring, he's basically a POV character for the entire Reach campaign. He's the main character of that. And he does carry parts of the narrative that if you cut him out, that entire subplot is gone. And even now, with this spy photo, I'd put 50-50 odds that they might cut him out. We have no idea whether they'll even include him or not. Do not treat that as a certainty. So I'm excited that we saw, this child actor who could be Daeron the Daring. For a long time, I was certain they were going to cut him out. Now I'm back up to being 50-50 if maybe they'll put him in. So we're not sure. This might just be a minor cousin. And on top of that, like I said, we couldn't get a very good look at the costumes, but all of them seem to be wearing varying shades of green. All these three actors who seem to be playing Alicent's sons. Because, their faction are the Greens. You see it in the promo photos of Alicent and Rhaenyra pretty clearly, that Rhaenyra is wearing a black dress and Alicent is wearing a dark green one. But the issue is, in all the other spy photos, House Velaryon are some of Rhaenyra's biggest supporters, and their heraldry is a silver seahorse on sea green. So there's Alicent's the Greens, but we're seeing people wearing green who have seahorse sigils on their clothes. We go, oh, that must be a Velaryon. So the fact that these children are wearing dark green, maybe they're from something else. No, there wouldn't be minor cousins on Alicent's side. It's just those three boys. If there were minor cousins, they'd be Velaryons. So, even so, is this necessarily one of Alicent's sons, or is it some Velaryon kid? One of the minor Velaryons? We can't even tell based on costuming because they all wear shades of green. We don't know. Depending on the light, they're well, is this dark green or light green? It could be it's any shade of green. Like Lannisters have more than one shade of red. But moving on from that, we saw someone who we think is Aegon II, can't identify them, but we got a good look at their costume. And a really young kid who might be Daeron the Daring. Moving on from that, we got really good spy photos at high quality with no masks for what we are 99% certain is Aemond Targaryen, Alicent's middle son. And we are certain this couldn't just be one of the minor Velaryon cousins from the crowd of extras at Driftmark, because he wasn't even at the Driftmark set. The Driftmark set is at St. Michael's Mount, which is on the south coast of Cornwall. When this kid was filming at a beach, it wasn't even in the same region. He was filming at Hollywell Beach on the north coast of Cornwall near Newquay, around where it's the same beach where Daemon and Rhaenyra filmed some scenes from the first spy photos, and there were some driftwood and shipwreck things they set up on the beach as well. So he couldn't be one of the background extras. There weren't crowds of extras at this shot. It was just Daemon and Rhaenyra and this one kid who came out for the express purpose of filming this. He wasn't a background character. There weren't any background people there. Like I said, we're pretty sure that they were filming for Laena Velaryon's funeral because we saw sarcophagus in a funeral pyre. And Laena's funeral is when Aemond snuck off on his own to claim her dragon Vagar, the largest living dragon remaining. So yes, Aemond would be in such a scene where he would be alone on a beach, snuck off away from the crowd. He snuck off to go to the beach to do that and claim Laena's dragon, because he's a bold child of singular vision. I am stunned at the high quality of the spy photos we got for this Aemond kid. I'm just 99% certain this is Aemond. And it's really high quality, but then again, different location. That this isn't like all the other ones where we were having spy photos taken zoomed in from across the bay to St. Michael's Mount, which is, they can block it off. It's a tidal island, restrict access. This beach at the north side of Cornwall around Newquay, they were filming on mainland Cornwall, so on the subreddit forums, like the House of the Dragon subreddit, we had various roving reporters, one's named Iphigenia, she was really nice, that they were all stalking around the borders of the filming location. Some of them managed to get really close and take not just high-resolution photos, but 3 to 5 minute high-resolution videos. Not of the actual filming, but cast in costume waiting around on set. So it's no surprise they were able to get closer there than they were at the island to the south at St. Michael's Mount. Again, I can't post spy videos, but whereas the other one, I said, it isn't even worth watching. It's blurry. It's just two little kids running around on the castle set, and they have silver wigs and look mixed race. This is a really good spy video of the Aemond kid walking around. I'm going to put it at the top of the list in the description box. Watch that video. It is really high quality. He doesn't have a mask on. You can even see what his costume looks like. Though I say without a mask on, it's interesting to see him, but with this one, or the Daeron the Daring kid didn't have a mask either, guys, these are child actors. Even if we got an official promo image, without a name, just we got a high-resolution, HBO released a promo image of a crowd shot, and we could see what their faces look like, I doubt we'd be able to recognize them. That these are unknown child actors. Even if we got a name, they're unknowns. They haven't appeared in major stuff anymore, unless it's like one or two famous child actors I could name, which I doubt. I mean, Maisie Williams and Sophie Turner. In Game of Thrones Season 1, if they hadn't announced their names first, but you just had spy photos of them showing up for auditions, how would we recognize them by their face? Maisie and Sophie hadn't been in anything yet. Or for that matter, if they gave out the names, here's Maisie Williams and Sophie Turner, they were unknowns. So even if we got the name and an official promo shot of whoever's playing Aemond and Daeron, I don't think it really matters. They're unknown actors. Aegon II is older, though. I think he might be a recognizable teenage actor. There was some speculation online based on some Instagram posts about who might be playing him. I'm going to go over that in a separate video because it's more speculative. So these are shots from the high-resolution video we got. Also, this is from a separate set of spy photos. We got these really good high-resolution photos which show his costume in even more detail. How you can clearly see in this shot here that it's green, it has a cape, it has this row of gold clasps down the middle of the front. So really good spy photos here. Yet most of the time these people are wearing rain ponchos when they showed up to the Driftmark set, so this is one of the few good shots of costumes we have. So summing all this up, these are all the spy photos we got from the Cornwall shoot that we think are Alicent's boys. One on the beach we're certain is Aemond. There's a big ongoing question about whether Daeron the Daring will even be in the show or not. This little kid here might be Daeron the Daring, but he might be a minor Velaryon cousin. And this ties into the bigger question of, well, how many seasons will this show run, and what will be covered in each season? What might they cut out? We don't know, though the feeling I have right now is that HBO wants more content, not less. That they'd rather pad this out than rush it, because rushing it is what ruined Game of Thrones Season 5 onwards. 2 books in 1 season and then just burning through the rest. That's silly. And Fire and Blood, the parts about the Dance of the Dragons were only 60,000 words. It's a very full outline, but it's still an outline. So if anything, the worry is that they don't have enough material to fill this out. Why would they cut things? We're going to talk about this in a separate video, talking about exactly how long the show will run. But I don't think, the war lasted only 2 years. Breaking Bad lasted 5 years, but internally covered 2 years of storyline. I think this is going to be a 7-year TV show, that they want a 7 to 8 year TV show to be a flagship for the new HBO Max and stuff. I'm not sure, and like the casting sheets for Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook said young Rhaenyra and young Alicent. That we know that there is going to be a time skip at a certain point where they get recast, like how Matt Smith's old show, The Crown, would recast everyone after a certain point. Separate video on this, but it's a big question of will the time skip be between seasons 1 and 2 or 2 and 3? I'm not sure, but starting to wonder if Season 2 will just cover the decade between Laena's funeral and the outbreak of the dance, padding it out a bit, introducing more characters, like introducing the Stark and Lannister characters who they wouldn't have had a chance to really introduce yet, so, to set them up. So I'm okay with that, but keep in mind the very youngest child actors, like even if this is Daeron, even if this is Aemond, they'll be recast for the actual war. There's no way they're just going to age up into it. Like a few of the older characters, like maybe Otto Hightower, they'll keep the same actor the whole time and just have him wear age makeup. But when you cast like a 5-year-old and have a 10-year time jump, you need to recast them. So I wouldn't get too attached. These kids are placeholders and they might be good at it. But I'm thinking of like how in Natalie Dormer's the Tudors show, in season 3 they had like 5-year-old Princess Elizabeth in one episode. And then the next season, they had a 10-year time jump and they recast it with a teenager playing Princess Elizabeth. The time moving on like this. Less so with older people, maybe even the older teenagers. What if whoever they cast as Aegon II, they keep throughout the run of the show? I'm not really sure. And like I said, there were these Instagram posts where we're starting to suspect who might be playing him. I'm going to split that off. Because what I'm going to do here, because I'm catching up, I was doing a lot of background research. This is my first video just pointing out these are named characters we think we could identify. Alicent's boys. After this, I'm going to make a very long catch-all video in which I post up and pick apart every single spy photo we got from the Driftmark set at St. Michael's Mount, where we got a lot of photos at pretty good resolution of crowds of actors in full costume, and wondering, are these just, crowd shots of background extras, or some of these people named characters? And sometimes even trying to identify the actors. Well, mostly that video is the one following this is everyone else at Driftmark. Then I'm going to split off another video from that one, cross-referencing with Instagram posts that we've been busy the past 2 weeks analyzing who the confirmed cast members like Olivia Cooke, Fabian Frankel, and Emma Darcy are following on Instagram, that they don't really hide this well. That's how we confirmed Graham McTavish was in the show. That we look at, these are professional actors that they suddenly started following on Instagram, and looking at their appearance, and then going, I think that's him in this spy photo from the Driftmark set. I've actually managed to identify like 2 or 3 people who are not going to be named characters. They're career extras. But we're trying to figure that out. I think I managed to find out, like, this one person might be Jane Eyre. We're not really sure. But I'm going to go through it more thoroughly. So there was this video, Alicent's Boys, then every other spy photo from Driftmark, then another video on cross-reference with Instagram. We're trying to figure out who they cast based on this. And then after that, I'm going to do an analysis video, a long-form analysis video, like I said, on the costuming, because I needed to research all of this, because I don't know anything about costuming, and to learn skill. I'm not an expert. I'm humble enough to say I don't really know that much about medieval costuming. So other channels like Costume Co are really experts at this. So at first I was going to make just a video pointing out, yup, here's Alicent's costume. Look, she has a hat. Which, that isn't information. If I rushed it out the day the news broke, maybe. But waiting this long, I want to go over that they seem to be copying real historical styles, where I can say it's not just, yup, she has a hat, but I took time to research, this specific kind of hat is called an escoffion. It was worn in the late Middle Ages, but not the Tudor era, and it would be worn by someone during the War of the Roses. That sort of thing. So, because I felt I owed Alicent a full video, because I gave Rhaenyra a full video, and I gave Corlys a full video. I didn't really for her. So this started small, and just it grew as I researched it more, that at the end of all that, I'm going to make a video on comparing the historical parallels of Alicent's costume and Rhaenyra's costume. We don't have a full shot of all of Alicent's costume. It's basically a headshot. That's what I'm trying to do. And when I finish the costumes thing, I will be up to speed on all of the leaks we have so far. and get back to doing cast profiles on the 6 or so cast members that we still have. Like, I was halfway done with the Olivia Cook cast profile when all the spy photos started coming out, and I want to get back to that. So here I am catching up on all the filming news we had.